Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and this is our version of news from the other dimensions. Many of you are aware that approximately a month ago, I discovered that we have implants in the back of our liver that come from the constellation Orion. When that implant, which is a tube, is cut, I believe I said it yesterday here in the news session, when the implant is cut, there's a tremendous difference in the quality of the emotions of the person internally and their reaction to people. As I said, I no longer feel like cutting people's head off if they sneeze or if they say something that's not necessarily stupid but is irritating to me. But everybody has that implant. So we have not been allowed to be us. And I told you I found that we have an implant in the back of the heart, another one in the belly button. And last night, I gave a class on the third eye, having to do with what could be blocking you from being able to have all that vision that you want to have. Third eye is also where superpowers are. Okay. At the end of the class, I said, you know what? I'm going to give you all a healing, and I'm going to check and see if there's any implant in the third eye, and I'm going to cut it. It turned out that there wasn't an implant in the third eye. There were many implants in the third eye, which probably explains the crown of thorns at Jesus Christ, which I always show. It's a great reference. Um, what was that all about? And why haven't we asked what that crown of thorns was about? I mean, if they put nails in your hands and feet, what does it matter that they prick you a little bit with thorns? It's a message to us, but we haven't interpreted it correctly. Just as I've told all of you that most people are not interpreting correctly a lot of the symbols that they are seeing, and it is having them take sides against people that are not necessarily representing something that's not good. The third eye is very important. That symbol is very important. And yet it seems to set most people off in terms of what are they doing? Why do they have that? They have that because they know more than you do. And if you knew about that, then you would also want to have that symbol and to have your third eye open. The point, though, that I want to make is that at the end of the session yesterday, and the sessions are a little bit grueling because there was 31 people. I sketched the third eye of 31 people, so it's like tiring, but we learned so much. Everybody waits very patiently while I'm sketching everyone else because the information is fascinating. I'm not sure that I told you this, but in a couple of sessions back, you know what? I think I didn't tell you because I didn't have permission to say it, so I'm not saying it now. A lot of interesting things go on with the third eye. But at the end of yesterday's session, when I gave a short healing, but mainly what I did was lift up all of the implants, which are tubes, into the third eye, as if I did, would be like this, all these hairs. I lifted it up and then I cut it and then I used the mirror and I did whatever it is that we're supposed to do. And then I sketched. And this is what people look like. This was the collective mind map. After cutting the multiple implants in the third eye. So we have implants every place I've looked. There's not been a place that I've looked, a chakra, an energy center that I've looked that does not have an implant. Who are we? We don't really know, because all of these implants infuse us with energy that we didn't choose and that we most probably would not want, because the infusions are very, very negative. So we go back to what it is that I've said very quietly and out of the side of my mouth, because I don't want people to get really angry at me. We are identifying other human beings as our enemies when our enemies are not on planet Earth, from planet Earth. They are from off planet. There's been a game, which has been identified by many people, but we haven't believed it, of off planet forces pitting us against each other. And then they don't have to do the work. And because we can't see, and we're given information, partial information, and then we're injected with violence and wanting to kill everybody because of what they did, and it turned out that we misinterpreted, or they wouldn't have done that if they hadn't been told that we did it first and then we didn't. This scenario has been described by many people through the centuries, and we haven't accepted it. I read about it first, and I don't remember the name of the book, but it was a very famous book, which of course everybody loved, but they didn't believe, just like The Matrix. Everybody loved it, but no, that's not really happening. It's just symbolic of something. No, it's not symbolic. And the third eye symbol is not symbolic. It's a representation of, which is a much more direct representation of the energies. So if we could wrap our heads around this, if I can get this information out quick enough, maybe we can stop some bloodshed. Here's the trick. How do we get this information to all the people? I don't have a problem not charging when I cut off all of these implants, but how do we get it to enough people quickly enough? Because it looks like we're scheduled for another major war in which all the players are going to get hurt. All the human players will get hurt. And then everybody is, no, it's a deep state, it's this person, it's the other person. I'm sure that we're correct in that they behave poorly. But we don't know what was done to them for them to behave poorly, and we don't know what they've been told that they need to do this in order to be able to save us from something worse. Because I have to tell you that those off-planet forces are very, 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 very bright and very manipulative and very thoughtful. They plan long-term, big picture. Their end goal, supposedly, is to have us fight each other. And in that fighting, we generate a type of energy that is negative emotions. Emotions are astral particles, and according to Hinduism, astral particles are a force. So they want that force. They want that energy. That's what I have read. That's what I've been told. That's what I've seen in many different places, and I'm going to start to believe it. They're harvesting a type of vitality from us, but they have to generate it. And they generate it not by people being happy, but by turning them against each other. Is the conspiracy bigger than that, smaller than that, a little bit different? Possibly. I will absolutely admit to that. What I'm not going to back off on, because I see it with my own eyes, and when I take care of it, the people notice the difference. I've noticed it in myself incredibly. When those implants are cut and they're very real, the person is different. The person feels different, and the person reacts differently. Much, much more like the kind of humanity we want. And that honestly, we would have been if we hadn't had this interference. Not exactly sure what we should do about all of this, other than to try to get all of these, to get people aware that they have it's not an influence. It's an intravenous into our system of intentions and energies and angles to things that we would have never chosen. And let me just say that implant from Orion in the back of the liver is part of the protocol for now what's coming up next, which is the zombies. Zombies and their supernatural strength comes from that implant in the back of the liver. So the zombie is a spirit that comes from Orion, and it takes over the physical body of somebody who has ejected or removed himself from the physical body, disassociated. What Eric Tolle says you cannot do, and he's totally correct. You can't disassociate. What are you disassociating? You're disassociating your spirit from your physical body. That leaves a space. So these entities from Orion enter. They have particular intentions, which has a lot to do with perversion, creating terror, creating horror in the human beings that are witnessing. Oh, there we go again. They go into a state of shock and a lot of negative emotion. So we're generating that vitality that these ET needs. But if I'm correct, and this is what I'm telling my followers, if somebody in the family ends up being a zombie, what needs to happen is you have to cut that implant because I believe that that is what vitalizes the supernatural strength of what we call zombies. And once they don't have that supernatural strength, then they're more handleable. I'm not quite sure how to experiment with that, but I'll figure it out and I will let you know what the results of that experiment is. I continue to get reports about what happened on Friday to Saturday, except last night in my sketching of 31 participants, how their third eyes were. Several of them appeared to have had the invasion on Thursday and not on Friday. So between Thursday and Saturday morning, you should think back as to what it is that happened to you in the middle of the night or how you woke up the next day different, and ask people around you. What I found this time within those 31 participants that I sketched were several people that had a huge black eye inside their third eye. I had not seen that before. And I had done this class twice before, which probably totaled about 80 people. And I believe that I had not sketched that at all. And all of a sudden last night, I sketched it several times. And that was from, and in each one of them, I identified what happened that they ejected their spirit from their physical body and that this third eye was able to enter. So if you had an awful night and you woke up the next day and you were not any better and you are qualitatively different and you view the world and people in it different since before the end of the weekend, it's like a before and an after, then you need to know that chances are that you are deeply invaded in the part of you that gives you wisdom, holds probably the vast majority of your memories, past, present, and future, and it's where your superpowers are. So to be invaded there, now we've all been invaded, which is I think why Jesus Christ had the crown of thorns, but small spirits, we've all had small eyes inside our third eye. When it's one big black, you've got troubles. That's focused intention on something that you would have never chosen. So pay attention. Do you feel different? Do you feel different? Do people feel you different? Does the world appear different in a negative way? And then you need to do something about it. Do I have the protocol for that yet? That invasion of third eye? I don't. I do have the protocol for cutting the implant into the liver. So if you had the invasion and you cut that implant, it's going to tone down the negativity. I'm giving you the information as I get it. If I wait until I have it all pulled together very nicely and then I write it up and then I have it edited and I have somebody, as a specialist, putting it up on my website, it's the game over. And you won't have had it because I was looking to do it right, not looking to do it right. I'm looking to do it as news. Hey, look what I found. Do I have the solution yet? In a lot of it, yes. In some of it, I don't. Okay? So we're here not just for me to give you news from other dimensions. We're here also to take care of ourselves so that the quality of our consciousness is such that we won't get invaded and that we won't make poor decisions and that we can remain who we are. So we're going to start with the peace mantra, because that is the mantra that makes the biggest difference. And the peace mantra is repeated in silence with rhythmic, and you expel the breath through your mouth. And give me a second. We're going to put on the sensory therapy music to support all of your senses, deliver information to you. And from that information, from all of those sources, you use them to create reality, starting with images and thoughts. Those images come from within you, but they didn't initiate they're initiated. They could have come from a newspaper article, something on the internet, something you personally witnessed, or a detective show in which two people are murdered, or from a game in which you have to kill people in order to defend your country. All this killing energy is interesting. And then we wonder why this country has so much violence. And we enjoy, the kids and some adults enjoy that so much. Yes, they're defending us. You know what? Don't defend me. If it's going to increase the violence in the regular physical people from doing all those video games, don't take care of me. Because you're not even taking care of me on the computer, but you are creating an energy that could land on my kid, my grandkid, or your kid, and they could end up doing me in, because all they have in their heads that feeds the process of creation are negative images. If you are hooked on those type of images, you're not going to want to watch a video of nature, which would give you a balancing of your elements, which means that you will be more healthy mentally. I'm not going to go on and on about that. Let's go ahead. And I do tend to go on and on because I'm a Cancer. That's my astrological sign. And we repeat ourselves a lot, and we worry, and we want to make sure that people got it straight and they get it right because we're worried about them. We all have our issues. If that's my biggest, then we're doing good. So we're going to do 15 minutes of this, but you're going to first self-assess yourself from 1 to 10. 1 is you feel awful, you want to slit your wrist, and 10 is you feel like $1 million. Where are you at now? And then at the end of this, you can do it again. Okay? Okay. This is what I sketched right when you started. It's a collective mind map, lots of fire on Earth. This blue coming in, same color as the third eye, don't know what that is. These are alien spaceships, but they're good. It's very simple when you get to the other dimensions. If they're pink, that is for me. If I see them in pink, it's for me to know that they are positive. So now at the end of your session of mantras, this is what I sketched. We didn't put out the fire of the earth, but we can't. But I'm able to see fire in the feet. And I think that maybe that's why my masters told me I needed to pay attention to my feet. We did get the protection of the two triangles. This is good. Third eye, okay. And continuing with the pink spaceships. This was good. But I forgot half the news. Part of the news is that there's a new movement called Block 2024, I think it's called, in which is the people that are like the influencers that everyone follows. They're being challenged because they've lied. They're not who they're supposed to be. There's something suspicious about them. And so I don't know if it was one of the Kardashians was losing like 3 million people per day. I don't quote me ever on numbers because I'm not good at it. But the point of the matter is, when I read that this morning, I went, fall of hierarchy. In the Bible, it says, and the meek shall inherit the earth. And I remember that in the 90s, I worked for a very large corporation. I worked for one of the branches. And I remember there was something coming up that was complicated. And when I read it, I said, you know what? The problem is that you're going to be caught in this wave of the fall of hierarchy. And the person that I was advising said, what does that mean? I said, I actually don't really know. Let me go and figure it out. So, and I did an entire write-up on how in the future, this was in the 90s, that everything that would be based on hierarchy would collapse. And at that point, they were already shortening, making the divisions between in hierarchy and companies smaller. And they had a name for it, and I don't remember what it was. But basically, the fall of hierarchy was predicted in the Bible, is connected to the age of Aquarius, where we're all created equal. Well, we can't be all created equal and not have a fall of hierarchy. We can't all be created equal and hold certain people in such high regard, which kind of means that they're so much more than we are, that it's not matching the energies of the age of Aquarius. So when I saw this morning, I said, wow, it's happening. And when I saw the numbers that were dropping with certain of these influencers and people that society admires so much, I went, it's really, really happening. And it's going to be really positive ultimately, but the process is going to be totally damaging to what we have come to take for granted in society. If you don't have hierarchy, you can't have the whole banking system. You can't have basically practically anything that we've set up that's institutional, because our institutions are hierarchical. So the collapse that they're predicting may actually happen, but not for the reason that they're thinking. The hierarchy is not supported in the other dimensions any longer because that era is gone. The other thing that I forgot to include in news from other dimensions is somebody posted that they got up in the morning and they were all bruised. Actually, I think this was Monday, and there was heavy-duty invasion Friday and Saturday of last week, and she had pictures of her all bruised. And I just said to her, that has actually happened through the ages, and it's an attack by a spirit who's very aggressive. I think, what was she attributing it to? Abduction. I don't really know anything about abductions, alien abductions. I know all about physical people being abducted because I've been abducted. That's not what we're talking about. I don't think that that's part of the abduction process to get those kind of bruises, yet it is totally part of the process of being attacked beaten up by spirits in the middle of the night. The regular spirits that we're used to through the centuries, not these new ones that are. I had one person tell me that she woke up in the middle of the night and there were spirits that took her spirit, her own spirit, threw it against the wall and took her dog and threw the dog against the wall. And I believe her because there's been too many stories throughout the centuries. Also, there's a lot of those spirits that actually rape the victims, the person, and the person wakes up and they think it's just a dream, but they can't move in the middle of it. It's called being put, the spirits know how to put you in a hypnagogic state. The men do not talk about it that much. I guess it's more humiliating and embarrassing. But this has been throughout the ages. This is nothing new. And I don't think it's part of the abduction process. And I believe there was one other thing that we need to figure out what aliens like and what they don't like. I was thinking about it. If we look at the way they dress, we can see that fashion is not important to them. Where does that leave all of our influencers? Fashion is not important to them. They don't have any fashion. They don't have clothes. Makeup is not important to them. Skin that has had, faces that have had plastic surgery, I have not had it. This is because I'm swollen. That's why I have less wrinkles, because I'm like, they don't care. We think things are important that are not part of their world, wondering how much they're going to be able to respect us if we think that something that's superficial, lasts only one incarnation, is so important to our physical body. And they don't even have clothes. I know they don't do plastic surgery or any of all of the rest of that. How are we supposed to be respected? Well, actually, I think we're not respected because we were supposed to, according to the dolphins, and that's in the book that I have on Amazon called The Gods Speak, Dolphin Wisdom Revealed. They said the human beings made a huge mistake at this time, that we reached a point where we don't really have to worry about having enough food or having a roof over our heads. We should have then dedicated ourselves to developing our spirit, which is our astral body, our astral spirit body, and we didn't. We just made our physical body, we manipulated it through exercise, through surgeries, through makeup, through clothing, to be even what we consider, or certain people consider, ideal. And then we follow people that do not appear to have any type of spirituality at all. So we have to wonder how it is that we're going to understand each other, in addition to the fact that there's not just ETs and humans, the same way there's not just humans, there's Americans, and then there's British, and then there's Russian, and within Americans you have the Anglos, and then you have the Hispanics. And somebody was telling her daughter in front of me, no, you have brown skin, you're not black, you have brown skin. All these subdivisions we have, but they have it too. You have from Orion, the ones that did us in and are doing us in today. And then apparently from Orion, you have a lot of Orions that are sorry that they did us in. So supposedly they came back from the future to come back now to help us out. And you go, well, that's crazy, Francis. Come on, you can't talk like that and expect people to follow you. Actually, in the other dimensions, there's no time. So for us, it would be coming from the future to come here now back in time, but there is no time there. So the people that are silly are us, trying to apply the laws of this dimension to the other dimensions, trying to apply our laws to these aliens. What about their clothing? How do we know if we're supposed to respect them or not? A lot of that comes from the way people dress. You know, their handbags, their shoes. So it's going to get really complicated. And one of the big issues, which I realized with this clothing thing and fashion, I love Elon Musk. Okay. But honestly, today I would like to meet his mother more than him. Maybe she could figure out my color tones and my eyebrows and my hair, whatever. I don't know why I'm saying this right now, but it's the whole thing of there's just so much going on and this whole emphasis on how you look. The title of this is I don't remember what the title of this chat is today, but it looked like I misspelled it. So I went back to correct it, but I spelled it correctly. But when they posted incorrectly. Oh my God, people think I don't even know how to spell or I'm not careful. Oh, guys, what's important? And then a big event is going to happen. I think a big event is already happening. And I think a big piece of it is what happened on Friday, which started the process of people being massively invaded by ETs, but the group that do that, not the ones that come in pink spaceships. I mean, obviously, the spaceship is not going to be pink. It's that way for me to understand what it is I'm seeing and then being able to share it with you correctly. There is just so much going on. We need to get our priorities straight. And for me, that means that we have to be, each one of us must be a solid citizen within ourselves. The next guy's not going to be able to help us. Your kid's not going to be able to help you. Your husband's not going to be able to help. They could have been the one that got invaded. At which time you may have somebody with supernatural strength that doesn't even remember who he used to be when his spirit was actually inside the physical body. I know that I'm throwing a lot at you at one time, but that's actually everything that's happening today. And you can stay in your own little bubble and think you're going to be fine. But because we live in a society based on hierarchy, your life is determined by a lot of other people. Is that store in the corner going to open up so you can buy food? Or did the kid of that owner murder him because Thursday to Friday he was invaded by one of those spirits that's what they do, get human bodies with a different spirit inside to kill their loved ones, because there is no loved ones, because that love is in the spirit, not in the physical body. I'm going to stop going on and on, and we're going to go ahead and do a different type of mantra, which is called a telegram. And you're going to send it to yourself. Where is it? I just put it up. Are we going to make it out of this mess? Why don't we do this mantra, which will augment our ability to create a life for ourselves in which this mess is not going to take us down. Everything that is happening, everything that is going wrong, all at the same time. At the same time, we can't see the real enemies. We don't know how to communicate with them, and we don't know how to judge them because they don't have clothes on and they don't have Instagram accounts. It's complicated. So you take these words, we trust, we trust, we trust, and you send it to your third eye, and I will get a music that will support working with the third eye. And I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to collect information from the other dimensions and deliver it to you so that you will have the information and you figure out if you want to follow it or if you want to investigate further. Okay. How are you feeling? I'm a lot more relaxed. The only thing is that I picked up that there's a big bomber above us. BOMBER? What does that mean? I have no idea. I don't think it's above my house. I think it's above all of us. And I want to go back to, and I'm not trying to make people nervous. When you give news, you're supposed to give news. The good news is that we have an ascension process going on in which we will be protected from a lot of this stuff that's happening here with the fire and the curses. and we have good ETs. So there is a lot of good news. And if we cut all those implants to our third eye, we get a happy camper. We become happy campers. But I got to give you the news, and I cannot modulate it and give you just enough. And because if not, I'll scare you off, and then I'll get even less people. I have to give you what it is that I get. That's my intention. So, see, it's good news. This is portal, and we get lifted off from the burning fire. Not the burning bush that's in the Bible, that of course has nothing to do with ETs. This fire element, which is heating up the earth and then heating up people. And when people heat up, they become violent and they hate when they wouldn't normally do that. So there is very good news. We're in a bit of a pressure cooker because everything is happening, it would appear, all at once. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow if we didn't scare you off with all this information from the other dimensions. I love you a lot. Bye.